your saving of wildlife and the community work that you do, you know, in this current circumstance with the pandemic, must be a nightmare. With your help, you know, we created the Community Conservation Fund Africa, and obviously we're expecting a lot of the funding to come out of a hotel group with 4,000 hotels around the world, and it's starting. I must say it really is starting. And then, you know, obviously our beneficiaries are you, the Wilderness Foundation, Tusk and African Parks, who then do the implementation. The circumstances at the moment are tough, Andrew. I know we've spoken about it, but maybe you can just highlight your thoughts on just, you know, where are we? And, you know, can the Community Conservation Fund, with our worldwide footprint, help?
Well, the short answer is absolutely, and it has to. We're at a position now, I mean, this is uncharted territory. These lockdowns around the world have caused millions and millions of people at an unprecedented number to now really be struggling for livelihood, and in the case of rural communities living around and in protected areas, struggling for food. And we have to deal with that food and livelihood issue. We need to deal with it long term also, sustainability, but right now we have a crisis. And so we can't have a situation where, because we on our watch haven't found ways through the COVID fund of Accor and Mantis and the Community Conservation Fund Africa, that we don't find ways to assist with feeding communities in and around the very protected areas that are critical to conservation and critical to the business of the conservation, which is what Mantis and Accor are so involved in terms of ecotourism and hospitality. So I think right now we have a crisis and we have to feed people. If we can use this opportunity to really build meaningful partnerships with our communities during this time of the crisis, if we can help to prevent what could be a bush meat crisis emerge, because one can understand if someone has absolutely no food, they're going to look to poaching for the pot. And we need to make sure that we are part of the solution, Adrian, that we are actually there at the time when these communities need us the most. That, I think, will build, as Mantis has done throughout its journey, meaningful partnerships with your communities, with your staff, with your teams.
Do you think that this lockdown has really brought home to a number of people just how much the environment has been and is being abused by humans?
I think so. I think that there is no doubt. I mean, you've and I have seen the pictures of how wildlife has responded.
Unbelievably.
It is just extraordinary, and it just shows you the impact that we really do have. We think driving through a park doesn't really have an impact. It clearly does. So yes, I do think that people are aware. I think people are yearning to get out into nature. Adrian, you saw when we were allowed to sort of come out of our cells for 2 hours and go for a walk. I mean, people were just absolutely pouring out of their homes just to experience a bit of nature for a while and just to walk around. I think there is a growing understanding that we are part of this world. Gaia is one Earth, that when we have impacts, like clearly we have had, let's not forget that the coronavirus is a zoonotic event. It is where a virus jumps from wildlife to human. And that really only happens when that wildlife is put under extreme stress. And that is what we're doing to our Earth right now. And I think people do understand that. I think there's far more of an understanding of that. But I also think that social distancing, which is going to become a new norm now. There are ways that we are going to behave as a society going forward. Just like, Adrian, if you think about it, when we had day zero water crisis in Cape Town, people made changes That then meant that we averted day zero. But 2 years later, those same people are still practicing the same new habits. So I think we're going to change the way that we tread on this earth coming out of this event. It is that much of a planet-changing event. And I also think that the new technologies, that the way that we are conducting our business, the way that we're going to fly, the way that we're going to meet, the way that we are going to, the new industries that are going to emerge, if almost like as the COVID economy almost, is going to mean a much lighter footprint on this earth. That is what we have to hope for. I often tell people, you must remember, coming into the COVID-19, we aren't even halfway through this year. We've already had some of the worst wildfires in the world in history, and now we've got this COVID-19. So the planet is talking loudly. I hope that we are hearing.
Well, I think that's been a most inspiring discussion this morning, Andrew. And I thank you for your input. I thank you for what you're doing for the city of Port Elizabeth. You know, we're always a bit out on the limb, but I think that with you leading the business chamber, with certainly Mantis taking a lead in the environment and conservation, we're helping to put this province on the map. And I just thank you for all the work that you do to protect the environment for the future generations, because believe me, it needs a lot of protection. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Adrian, and thank you for your long years of service to the Wilderness Foundation, helping us start Wilderness Foundation Global, which is the coming together of all the organizations that Ian Player founded, your service with the Wilderness Leadership School, and your ability to put gentle pressure on us to move to the Eastern Cape. I think it's the best thing that we have done as an organization. So thank you for your role in that.
And I'll never forget, just to conclude, is that the last trail that Ian did, he took my wife Shirley Ann and I on that trail, and it still has incredible memories. So I will always respect and remember Ian, and also for your great contribution to the environment, to Mantis, and to what we should all be standing for. Thank you. Thank you.